Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. We are here on the nice sandy beach in Langkawi, Malaysia. We've been here in Malaysia for the last 2 weeks. We started from Kuala Lumpur, made our way to Penang, and then now here in Langkawi. As many of you know, and if not, if you're new to our channel, we're from Canada. So we love to travel and get a view of a different part of the world to see how life is. And we've come up with a few things to compare with Canada versus here in Malaysia. So we're going to start off with the cost of living.
Yep. Cost of living here. Over here, you can make the Canadian dollar really stretch because for every one Canadian dollar, the exchange is 3 ringgits. So that's pretty good, and especially when it comes to uh, rental of apartments, catching a ride to with Grab, or going out for dinner or a snack. Um, I believe that the Malaysian government is starting to relax their policies on foreigners who are wanting to purchase property and land here in Malaysia. I believe that for a foreigner to purchase property, the minimum that, especially for Canadians, that you would need is 1 million ringgits, and that translates to about 300,000 Canadian dollars. And based upon what we've seen, the property prices versus the quality of what you get, something for 1 million ringgits here or 300,000 Canadian would be equivalent to approximately 1.5 million or $2 million back home in terms of an equivalent property. Over here, their structure is very well built. It's not thrown up just quickly and sometimes negligently as back in Canada. So you do get the value for your dollar.
Yes. So we have been speaking to some of the locals here to see how they enjoy living here, and they seem quite pleasant. They seem very satisfied, and they just love it here in Malaysia, and they welcome us tourists.
Okay, next things that we want to touch on are food types and cost.
Food types and costs. So Malaysia is a melting pot of the Indian, Chinese,
And Malay
and
culture.
Malay culture. So you have that diversity here. If you want to have Indian food, there's many options. Same with the Chinese as well, Malay. We also notice that there's a lot of Middle Eastern food. So, and the cost to eat is so cheap for what you get. You get a nice fresh meal. If you go to a restaurant, you would be spending, we went to a couple sit down restaurants. We spent about 60 ringgits, which would be around $20 Canadian for two people. If you want to go to a food stand,
Or a hawker
or a
center.
hawker center, you'd be spending half of that, which is amazing. So, food is definitely reasonable, fresh. Um, if you have standards with regards to, healthy choices, you have that as well. So, to eat as tourists, it's definitely amazing. Where back home, the same meals, I would say that $60 ringgit would, I would say, 3 times that. And good luck if sometimes you get fresh food. Sometimes the food is sitting there. But with the food here, we found it the high turnaround because of the tourists and the locals. You're always getting something fresh.
Now, in terms of drinking water, they advise you not to drink straight out of the tap. There are many filtered faucets that you can drink from. Uh, it would be advisable as a foreigner visiting that you get bottled water just to be on the safe side.
Yes, they're the first place we stayed at. We noticed they had a filtration system underneath the faucet, the sink area, and but still, we just took that extra precaution and we just bought bottled water. Safe, better safe than sorry.
Yeah, and just to go back on the hawker centers, sometimes some hawker centers or night markets are a little cleaner than others. We went to the Taman Kanat,
That was our favorite.
Yeah.
We found that was a pop-up. It's only on Wednesday evenings, and we found all of the vendors pretty much handling the food safer than some other places we've seen. And the choices was amazing, and the prices can't go wrong.
Yeah, some of the vendors at some of the markets there, you could see the food. You could tell that it's been left out for a while, or there's been flying all over and landing on them. So
And then
that's
also the handling.
yeah,
Noticing sometimes they're handling the money, and then they're also handling the food with no gloves. And sometimes you just want to make a different choice due to the risks that you may be taking eating that food.
next thing that we want to comment on is the harmony of cultures here.
So the Malaysian government has made it mandatory that each culture get along with one another and to respect one another. And we really love that idea. As we are in Canada, we've always requested diversity. We fight for diversity. And yes, we do have diversity, but the issue with that is people don't want to understand each other's differences. We all have different beliefs, either religion or culture, and that is okay. But unfortunately, when people don't want to understand those differences, instead of accepting them and or learning about them, they just discriminate them and they judge them. And it's quite sad to see that because we're human. And here in Malaysia, the government has made it mandatory that one gets along with each other, no matter what culture, religion we are. So we really enjoyed experiencing that and being part of that because we didn't feel out of place. As you see, we are not Asian or Indian or Malaysian, and but we felt welcomed and we felt part of the community here.
Yeah, and the a lot of the places that we've been to, there's messages everywhere about how to properly raise your child, keep your child uh, under control and discipline, live life properly, and treat people properly. So that's
Yeah,
great.
there was also a message we heard in one of the stores we were in, and it was promoting that allow the parents to make the decision and not the child. And I think that's a very strong message. As we are in North America, unfortunately, with social media, media influences either in the school system or communities, sometimes you make you think who is the child and who is the parent. And here it's clear that please allow the parents to make that decision for the child, or when the child gets old enough to make a decision for themselves instead of influencing them when they're too young.
Yeah. So over here, as I alluded to earlier, the currency, one Canadian dollar is equal to three ringgits, Malaysian ringgits. The Canadian dollar, I believe, is pretty much on par with the Singaporean dollar. So what we've understood is that there are some Malaysians who cross the border every single day to Singapore to work there, and then they have to spend the time to commute back. But their lifestyle is very, very good over here because of that currency exchange difference. So that's one thing that we noted. Next thing is traffic. Boy, do we not like the traffic here.
So I think like any big city, traffic has gotten worse. Everyone's going to the core to work. That's where the opportunities are. Unfortunately, the infrastructure cannot handle the amount of people. They drive quite crazy here, and there are highway traffic laws, but
Very, very relaxed.
very relaxed, and people do not follow them. For example, the motorcycles will go cut in and out of the vehicles, lane splitting, and they just cut right in front of vehicles,
And they honk you even though as you're crossing the street you have right of way as per the color of the light.
yeah, we were crossing one day on a green light, and a motorbike was coming our way, and he just kept on going and honked us like we were in the wrong. So, yeah,
That's something
the
to
traffic is quite crazy. So you know what? Grab is amazing. Transportation here is not the greatest. We
public transportation,
public
buses,
yes.
the MRT we found to be very difficult. It's not, especially walking. It's not a very walkable city in the sense that there's not sidewalks and places to cross that are, you know.
You'd be crossing a lot of free, like highways or high, I guess, high, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the high speeds. You have no chance to cross over. That we found that more in Kuala Lumpur and Penang. Those are more city-oriented places, so obviously more vehicles. Here in Langkawi, it's more like a beach resort, laid back. There's not as much traffic, and it's a straight run. Where in KL and Penang, the roads split up in all different directions, a lot of one-ways. So the last place we stayed at, we wanted to go to a mall, for example. He had to go around the block just to get to the other side of the street because it's all one way. So it takes a lot longer than it should.
Yeah, and when you're here, get used to the honking. Everybody honks each other, and it's funny because over here, even though they come very, very close, and it seems to us that they're cutting each other off nonstop, nobody ever really rolls down their window to yell or swear or get in a physical fight with, or even a verbal fight with anybody else.
Yeah, they just honk and then go on their way.
Yeah,
There's
pretty
no
much the
violence.
norm, you know.
But I think again that stems from the government here. It follows very much similar rules as Singapore, where no violence is allowed. So if someone acts out, there are signs that we've seen is to report it, and it's not locals don't accept that behavior, and the tourists know that. So both ends follow the ways of the Malaysian government, and everyone just goes on their way.
So every single day it's been sunny.
Yeah, sunny. So we've had great weather. We're now on the beach. It's March. Back home, we're full of snow, and here we are on the beach. The water is warm, so we cannot complain. We've been enjoying every single day. Again, I think it rained on the second day, but it was just for about an hour in the evening, and it was done.
Whereas when we were in Singapore a couple of years ago, every day in the morning to early afternoon, it was super nice, and then mid to late afternoon, it was starting to rain, and sometimes it was very heavy downpours.
Oh yes, heavy, and it was our feet would get soaking wet. So yeah, I remember a lot of rain when we were in Singapore. But here in Malaysia, I believe the rainy months, as we've been told, is I believe in January to February. We came at the end of February, and we're now in March, so the weather is perfect. It does get a lot warmer. Just like any other summer season for each country as we approach the summer months. So it will definitely get hotter and hotter, but this is manageable for us.
Yeah, and right now it's time of the year where it's Ramadan.
Yes, so from the 1st of March till the end, it's Ramadan. So most businesses close during the daytime, and at night they all come alive. Right now, there's, I think, half the stores closed, which is fine with us. We did the ones that were open during the day, and we did an activity, and then at night, after we come from the beach, we'll go enjoy some of the shopping again.
Yeah. Next topic is the shopping variety. There seems to be a lot of mom and pop shops.
Definitely a lot of mom and pop shops. You know, back home in Canada, unfortunately, a lot of them have died down pre-pandemic, and now during the pandemic and after, they just cannot survive, or they're not supported by the government. The government does not support small businesses in Canada, and it's very unfortunate because I find that creates diversity there, and it also creates a meaning for people to come and support our country. Here in Malaysia, it's all mom and pop. There are the big franchises too, but a lot of mom and pop. So you feel good. You're supporting a local person, and you're giving back to their economy.
Yeah, it's not like in Toronto or even Mississauga, where a lot of the small businesses were torn down only to make way for endless condos to be built.
And big franchises.
Yeah. Thrifting.
So thrifting. We are big thrifters, vintage shoppers. We enjoy those kind of unique stores. We found in KL there were a lot. So there is Jalan Japan. There's also Second Bundle. There's Second Street Bundle. There's Family Bundle. There's so many. You just Google them, and they're quite easy to get to. And we found some great deals. We got items that were almost new for a lot less than what they would be shopping new. So we were very happy about that. And yeah, we highly recommend that. Penang didn't have, they had a couple, but they weren't as great. And I don't believe Langkawi has any because it's more of a like a beach resort destination. So if you are into thrifting and secondhand, I highly recommend looking them up in KL, and you will find some amazing ones.
Next topic here is to talk about the safety of everyone. That includes like drug using and everything. Back in Canada, I believe the Trudeau government, which is highly unpopular, had decided to. They thought that it was a good idea to legalize small amounts of hard drugs like heroin and cocaine.
As well, they opened up a lot of methadone clinics, which it doesn't help the situation.
Just enables people to continue to do their drugs.
So in here in Malaysia, I have not seen anyone or any place that promotes drugs. I believe it follows the Singapore laws as well. It's a little bit laid back versus Singapore's laws. For example, the e-vaporizers are not allowed in Singapore. We're here in Malaysia. I see them here and there, and there are a lot of vape shops. But that's fine. It's just like a cigarette. And as well for smoking, I believe you have to smoke in designated areas. A lot of places do not allow smoking, but there will be designated areas for smoking. Um, I feel safe. It's people are very um, cautious, not cautious,
Conscious.
conscious. So yeah, people are very conscious of.
No, people are very conscious. Now you got me. Okay. Uh,
Aware.
People are very aware of safety measures. There's cameras everywhere, and to compare it here to Singapore, they are super safe. Practically it seems like every corner there's cameras monitoring you, and yeah, some may argue that it's Big Brother looking over you, but if you have nothing that you're up to that's criminal or anything, then you have nothing to worry about.
And Malaysia really wants tourists to come here, and to know that you're safe means you'll tell a friend, and that person may want to come here, and therefore their tourism will continue. There are countries where you hear horror stories, and you're like, don't even go there. But with here, it's not perfect. It's not a perfect place, but where is, although I feel safe, I feel appreciated, and I feel like I'm luxury because with our dollar. So Malaysia is a fantastic place.
Last topic that we're going to talk about is cleanliness of this place versus like Singapore, their neighbor there.
So the cleanliness is unfortunately not up to the standards of Singapore. I believe the Singaporean government had made it mandatory. For example, there used to be street food in Singapore, and then it was transferred into buildings where they now call them hawker centers. And therefore, they all follow a standard of cleanliness. They serve, they cook their foods in a safe space. Therefore, you're not going to get sick. Unfortunately, here it doesn't have that. You have a mixture of high end and low end, and you just have to be careful where you eat. And that's just common sense for anywhere.
Yeah, and in Singapore, you see a lot of the businesses every morning. They are out there pressure washing their sidewalks, their buildings to keep it clean. Hence the reason why their motto is Singapore Clean. Over here, as you're walking, sometimes I almost fell into a hole because their safety standards are a little more lax, and yeah, you just got to be aware of that. They allow chewing gum, so you see gum all over the streets. Yeah, the cleanliness. There are certain parts or certain pockets that are cleaner than others, so you just got to be aware of it. And if you Well, one place that we really liked that was clean in Penang was the Gurney area.
Yeah, the Gurney Mall Plaza, it was great because it had an underground, lower level food court. You've seen how the standards were there. The prices weren't crazy, but they obviously were a little bit more than the food stalls that you would see on the street, or the hawker centers as they call them here. But much different in the level of sanitation, and that's important to us. If you're more daring, you try it out, but to each his own.
Okay, so I think that's the topics that we're covering. If you find that we're missing a topic, or if you have any suggestions on topics that you want us to cover in the future, then let us know in the comments section. So I hope you enjoy this video, and
I hope you can subscribe to our channel, see what we have to offer and where we've traveled to, what products we review, and what we can teach you, and hopefully you can give us some advice on where to go next, and what we haven't covered. So please hit that bell notification for the newest video and update. Until next time.
take care.